I am the Chief Visionary Officer and founder of the Black Man Can Incorporated. Working here in Atlanta, spending time at Drew and spending time at Morehouse, really all of that kind of was what led to the creation of the Black Man Can. So I sit in my dorm, I sit at the lunch table, I sit at different meetings, and I just hear the narratives that we need a space for Black men to share, and we need a space for Black men to be vulnerable. We need a space where we can bring boys out and they can hear stories and narratives. And I got that when I was here as a student at Morehouse. And even at Morehouse gives you this level of confidence that you don't really get anywhere else in terms of what you can accomplish as a Black male. And so all of that together is like the perfect storm for the creation of the Black Man Can. The mission of the Black Man Can is to celebrate, educate, and inspire boys and men of color. The way that we do that is we do that through multiple ways, through our nonprofit as well as being a digital media platform. The problem that we try to solve is the media, the negative image that you can get from media around boys and men of color. So when you watch it, when you watch the media, when you watch TV, you would ultimately think that all we kind of do are, we're athletes and we're in entertainment, and that we do occupy those spaces, but we occupy so many others. I would meet with young men, or I will go speak to young men in different schools across the country, and if you ask them what do they want to be, they say they want to be a rapper, or they want to be in entertainment, or they want to play in NFL or the NBA. And I don't have an issue with that. To be honest, the problem that I find is that they have the utmost confidence that it's going to happen, that I'm going to be an athlete or an entertainment, where I want them to have that same level of confidence to say that I'm gonna be a video game designer, that I'm gonna be in STEM, that I'm gonna be a lawyer, that I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a video technician, I'm gonna be a producer. I want them to have the same level of confidence and the same level of awareness of wanting to be in those same spaces. And I also want grown men to also just be inspired by what other men are doing across the country and see how we can work together to create collectible and sustainable change for our communities. So through our blog and through social media, we portray positive images and narratives that show all the different spaces that we walk into, all the accomplishments that we are accomplishing throughout the world and throughout society. And then we also do that through the Black Man Can Institute, which is our one-day conference that travels around the country, where we have hundreds of boys come to do workshops. They are able to hear from a keynote speaker. They learn how to tie ties. They receive copies of the Black Man Can Journal, Define Yourself, Redefine the World, a guided journal for boys and men of color, and so that they're ultimately inspired and educated in terms of the opportunities in life. The Black Man Can does the promotion and the celebration of Black men really well. We truly showcase all the various spaces that we walk in. It showcases all the different things that we're accomplishing. You can literally go to our page, our Instagram page, our blog, our Facebook page, or come to an institute, and you will walk away thoroughly inspired by the collective work that's being done by Black men and boys. And I feel like we set out to be the #1 source of positive images and narratives, and we have become that.
What hood you rap? Man. What hood you rap? Man. What hood you rap? Man.
So when I call you a king, and I'm like, what's going on, king? I try to speak like to you. I'm calling you a king, not because I think that you are right now, because I know who you come from. Why is it important?
Why is it important?
They project us as like, we can't say too much or too little as like a Black young male. So we have to like show that we have a voice in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
The conditions that I find throughout many of our communities is the lack of positive self-identity. So when you think about the K-12 education system, young men don't get positive self-identity in terms of who they are and what they are accomplished. If you're a white male, you can see yourself in a bunch of different spaces, let alone that you've been told that you founded this country. So therefore, you have a level of confidence, a level of awareness, whether you want to be a mediocre white guy or you want to strive for excellence. And so we need to make sure that young men have the same type of positive self-identity in terms of what they want to do. And so that's what we're trying to fix, especially with the Black Man Can Institute. We want to create a space where boys can develop positive self-identity, develop brotherhood, but also develop other skills such as financial literacy, leadership, and a host of other areas that will allow for them to be productive citizens, but also have the level of awareness of what they can accomplish and what they can become.
You know, I never had, even though I had a father in my house my entire life, I didn't have a positive Black brother that was trying to help me do better and grow up smarter and not make the same mistakes they made. I didn't have that, and so that's what I feel like I have to do that as a Black male.
M.K. Asante is one of my favorite scholars, and he says, once you make an observation, you have an obligation. So I made an observation that boys and men of color need to see positive images of themselves and need to have their stories told, and so therefore I had an obligation to create that.
Well, I think a lot of things are missing, right? I think even when you have the presence of a male, a Black brother in the house or around you, it may not be a positive example, and so that's what I went through, right? So I had somebody that looked like me that I wanted to grow up and be a man too, but some of the actions I saw weren't what I realized, like, a man's not supposed to do that. So even when you have the presence, you sometimes don't have the right presence. And then when there's no presence, when there's no brother around at all, then that just leaves the door open to create your own image of what a man should be, and sometimes that image is created from media, and they don't like us, so they're getting their image of what a man should be from some form of medium that's not really helping them at all.
The reason why I got involved with the Black Man Can was because so many times in the business that I'm working in, and consulting and working with schools and businesses and things like that, it's about the money. But the Black Man Can is more about, the heart. It's about believing in something bigger than yourself. So when I'm able to go into the rooms and speak to young men and pour into them and give them things that wasn't given to me, I feel like it's a bigger calling for me. Something that, a definite mission and a purpose that God has given me.
So I feel like the biggest thing that I was lacking was cultural awareness, right? So even though I grew up around Black people, my entire life, it wasn't necessarily the most beneficial experience for me to grow. I feel like they weren't as supportive. And when I moved, to Atlanta and just in general, as I started to learn more about myself and more about my culture, I was able to kind of create that niche for myself and learn that being Black isn't necessarily concrete. It isn't Black, it isn't white, it doesn't have to be one solid thing. I can be exactly who I want to be with the niche that I create and the people I surround myself with.
We're talking about a message that's never been out there about positive Black males. When you look in the media, it's always extra violent, hypersexual stuff, but no one ever just stops to say, you know what, Black men are doing these things positively and only focusing on that. And so I really believe that the Black Man Can is a movement for empowering and reestablishing Black men around the world.
Even though it's an institute and I view it as a movement, so ever since I was born, I was a part of the Black Man Can. And it's up to all of us as Black men to contribute to it and add to its legacy and show that we are capable of more than what we think we are capable of.
Helping this group of Black males, for me, it speaks to really the boy that's inside of me. The boy that grew up without a father, the boy that grew up fighting against odds. And I feel like when I get into that room with them, I'm able to speak life into them. I'm able to show them an example that they necessarily don't see out in society, that is kind of shunned. When they look at the news and the news is too busy telling them how many of us go to jail versus college. I wanted to show them examples that things are possible. I want to tell them that I'm here as a resource and that we're not just to compete against each other. So I think for me, that's really what it is.
It means a lot. Like I said, I used to be one of those kids. So with the hardship that I had to go through from being homeless before, while in college, to, you know, my grandmother trying to make it work in every aspect of it. Simple things like not having my own bedroom. I slept on the couch till I was 18. I didn't have my first bed till I got to college. So I can relate to some of the stories that you hear some of the kids talk about. And just to see their face light up, to see someone that's willing to spend time with them and that's sincere and that's dedicated to pray, hopefully, that they will not have to repeat some of the things that I had to repeat, or just someone that they can talk to. Most of the time, kids like that don't have anyone to talk to, or they can relate. They're always considered different.
You know, growing up, I wasn't the most favorited in school, right? I got bullied here and there because I was the smart black kid, and that wasn't always considered the most popular thing to do. But as I just continued to follow that and, you know, stick to my purpose and do what I felt like was best for me, which was being smart and being black and being studious, it started to open up doors for me that I think a lot of people started to recognize eventually. So I would tell, you know, any young black man out there, because it's bigger than me, you know, it's so much bigger than me, just be yourself. And with that, when you're yourself, everyone will accept you so much more than when you try to be someone else, because everyone else is already taken, so.
So the students that attend the Black Man Can Institute are a variety of students. Sometimes the Black Man Can Institute is hosted at schools through after-school programs, and other times they're hosted through churches or local community centers. So throughout the institute and the tour that it's been on, some of the students have been underprivileged and not having a big father figure in their community, and then other students have been very well off and have their father in the picture, but maybe not fully knowing their identity and where they want to be in life at such a young age. And it kind of makes a path for them to show them that these are the things that you can pursue, these are the things that you can achieve, and this is the man that you can become. So the Institute really gears, and I guess it's a culture for every student, but anybody can come in from any sector and really thrive in it.
Well, the Black Man Can Institute provides an opportunity not just for the young men that Brandon works, but for those others that are doing the work in different communities around the country to continue to do the work, to gain exposure to the wonderful things that they're doing, to provide new opportunities for young men across the country, and to make the world a better place. I think everybody has a desire to do something positive with their life. Sometimes they need opportunities, and the Black Man Can is one of many opportunities that are provided to young black males throughout the country. But I think it plays a key integral role because it gives an additional voice to what is happening across the country positively with black males.
The Black Man Can Institute starts with an opening, maybe a spoken word from one of our speakers, and then it will go into workshops where there will be roughly 4 concurrent workshops that will happen 2 or 3 times throughout the day on various topics. They'll have opportunity to visit or hear from a keynote speaker. We also have a photo booth. We call it the Black Boy Joy photo booth. And so we're gonna have boys with different signs saying, I am king, the Black Man can, every day we lit, but just really that celebration of them, celebration of who they are and what they can accomplish. And it's always great, and just having black boys on camera smiling and happy are images that you don't always see. So, and they don't always see themselves in those images. So we have that, and then also we have an ending pledge where the boys recite a pledge, and they also receive copies of the Black Man Can Journal. So we have a plethora of sponsors and partnering groups throughout the country who work with us. So we've built a mentor network of over 300 men. Of these men, there are men who have their own businesses. They are men who have their own curriculums and training programs. They are politicians. They are assistant superintendents. They are teachers. They are husbands. They are fathers. And they come and facilitate the workshops.
In the workshop for Make Music Count, the premise is math is scary. Math has a bad stigma, especially among black people. and when we hear math, we cringe and don't like the way it feels. But what we do is I created a method where you can learn how to play the piano without using or knowing music theory. You can play by directly applying your understanding of math, like fractions. And so we take that foundation, we turn the piano into a number line, and we apply that method to learning how to play the popular songs from the radio. So an algebra question or lesson would be surrounded around learning how to play the latest 2 Chainz song. And so the class starts out as doing math, and then it ends with like band rehearsal. So that's what it's about. All the students have pianos. We have workbooks that we provide for schools that we work with, and we're also an app in the App Store. So it's like an educational guitar hero. So, but just all about bringing joy back to doing mathematics, because the truth of the matter is you're not going to get away from doing math. It's not going anywhere. So, but what our job as teachers is to do is to show students how it can be used, how it can be, how it's applicable to your everyday life. And I think that's the piece that's missing from school. It's not just, oh, plug and chug, memorize these equations. No, you need to learn this so that you can apply it to this area. So this area for us is playing the piano.
Well, the workshops help kids, young black males, see opportunities, some that they wouldn't see if they were not attending them. Opportunities for career growth, personal development, goal setting, how to improve their lives and become good men. And at the end of the day, that's what we need. Good men, good black men.
The workshop that I do is called Passion, Hunger, Drive. Sometimes I do other ones like I Am King, but Passion, Hunger, Drive is a major one. So with that workshop, I usually break down different ways for them to understand that, in life, I want them to find that passion that they have, right? I want them to find the fire inside them and find people who fan that fire. And then I get into hunger, and with that hunger is I want them to be hungry to learn more, hungry to not give up, to really tap into that why they have inside of them, and the people who want to see them succeed, to understand the shoulders that they stand on, the footsteps that they walk in, and that it's not just about them, that they have to be hungry and understand the opportunities that they have. And then drive really is self-explanatory. I want them to put all that action, all their thoughts, all their goals into drive. I want them to not just talk about it, but to do it, right? They have to walk it like they're talking.
It's not a presentation, it's a pitch competition. So what we do is we talk about entrepreneurship, we let them know what entrepreneurship is. I play 3 specific video examples of 3 young black entrepreneurs. One of them is, one of their names is Jaden Bledsoe. He's a young brother that owns the largest IT consulting firm in the country. I show him that video because he was 12 when he started the company. I show him Mo Bridges. He's the founder of Mo's Bows. He just inked a deal with the NBA to do bow ties for the NBA, so he's 15. And I show him another young guy who started the first sneaker pawn shop in Harlem. A clip of him on CNBC when he was 16. And so I show these 3 specific videos because they'll never see it if I don't play it. Like, this is not prime time news. And so I show those 3 videos, and then we have a little bit more discussion around what business is, entrepreneurship is. Then we let them break up into groups, and they have to answer 6 questions. What's your business do? What problem is it solving? Who's it for? How are you gonna market it, promote it? How are you gonna make money? And how are you gonna differentiate yourself from your competition? So each group has 90 seconds to answer this question. The only caveat is their idea just has to solve a problem. They can't just do a business idea because they like it, right? It has to solve the actual problem. And so the whole workshop, the whole pitch competition takes roughly 45, 50 minutes. And within that time frame, they've saw examples of young brothers that look like them that have started businesses. Some of them don't even know what entrepreneurship is, so we have that part of it. Then the teamwork part of it, right? When they break up into groups, now the brain juices start flowing, because now it's like, oh, I got this idea and I got this idea. Well, let's talk. And then helping them talk out their ideas. And then the presentation part where they actually have to stand in front of the class and pitch. You know, some of them try to sit back on the board, some of them be like this, and I try to help them. So in the pitch competition, I just believe that it's so many things that they're being exposed to within the like less than an hour that I have with them.
This is the real deal. This isn't, you know, this isn't a hobby. This is, you know, a way of life for us. You know, we live this every day. You know, we've been fortunate to have positive male figures in our lives that have allowed us to become the man that we are. And so, as our community should, we're offering to students what we had and wish we had growing up, right? So. This is the real deal. This isn't some fad. We live this every day. This is personal. And in the times that we are in now, with black men being targeted, we need the Black Man Can Institute to empower our young people so that they can equip themselves with the appropriate tools that they need to survive.
So attending the Black Man Can Institutes and being kind of behind the scenes and seeing what happens, I've actually seen students come in and be completely shy the first 2-3 hours, and after the first or second workshop, they are completely engaging, they are talking to people, they're in a space of where they truly believe that I can be this person. So you see kind of them evolve just through the one day, and at the end of the day, usually whoever their favorite workshop is, they go up and want to take a picture with that person, ask for their number if they can call them, and they leave with some of these kids come in never knowing how to tie a tie. Not only do they know how to tie a tie, but they also leave with their own tie. And some of them, that's the first time they've ever seen one or touched one. So to see that excitement on their face is just truly amazing.
I remember one time specifically, I had a mother come to me after one of my pitch competitions, and she said, "What did you say to my son?" I don't remember, man. What do you mean? And she said, he's telling me that he wants to buy some Nike stock and he wants to start a company and all this stuff. I said, okay. I don't know what to tell you, but it's good. You should talk to him about that stuff. So I just feel like I wasn't exposed to entrepreneurship, real estate, business, stocks until I was in my 20s. And so I think that's a huge disservice in 2018 that we're not talking to our young black men about entrepreneurship, real estate, business, stocks, things like that.
One I'll share is we did an institute in Wilmington, Delaware, and it was an extremely powerful institute. And so at every institute, we hand out ties to young men. And when we teach them how to tie ties, we always tell them that it's their job to pay it forward now that they have learned how to tie a tie. So I found myself in Wilmington, Delaware, roughly 2 months after that institute to do some follow-up work. And I was walking down MLK Drive in Wilmington, and a young man stopped me and said, "Hey, you're Mr. Black Man Can." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me, cool." And he said, "You know, at the institute, you said we had to pay it forward." And I was like, "You're right." And I was like, "So what did you do?" He said, "When I went home, I taught my dad how to tie a tie." And that was just a really powerful story that I wasn't expecting to get that day, but let me know that we're on the right path to the work that we're doing and the impact that we're making.
But I do know the Black Man Can plays a role in that because it's about impact, right? And it's about genuine motives, about service. So when you put those two things together, that's really the combination of what I look to contribute to the world in terms of giving back and giving all that I have.
It means hope, it means light, it means promise. And I believe that the Black Man can become an institutional place of positivity, not just in New York, Connecticut, but all over the country and possibly the world. I think that we need organizations that positively recognize young black men. We see enough negativity in our world, and I think this is something positive that can catch a fire and possibly change the lives of many.
The Black Man Can't Institute is a one-day workshop event that is hosted by Brandon and a couple of his colleagues and close friends. And they host workshops for students. Then they show them how to, for example, tie ties, learn how to dress for success, how to deal with the police, how to do their finances, and also go through a music workshop that teaches them math as well. So they're able to do that. They provide a lunch. They all get to go home with a tie at the end of the event, and also with one of Brandon's journals. So I think when you look at it as a whole, it's just a day event to show young kings how older kings really do things in the community, and how for them to strive to be that as well.
They motivate kids. I think they really motivate kids to let them know their potential, to let them know that they can see beyond what they currently see, that they don't have to be a product of maybe a generational curse or something like that. I think what Black Men Can really installs in them to see positive Black role models that have walked the same path that they are currently walking or getting ready to walk, but yet to see success. Not just success in corporate America, but success all around, family, spiritual, emotionally.
That's a good Black man to me is one that strives to be the best person he can be, that will work towards improving the lives of others, and one that is dedicated to his significant other, dedicated to improving his community, and dedicated to living a solid, spiritual, and positive life.
What does it mean to be a Black man in America? In my eyes, what it means to be Black in America, it means to be strong, right? Knowing that adversity exists, but still having the audacity to want to make an impact, even if you feel like it's impossible.